Welcome back. Today is the last day of early voting in Georgia before Tuesday's Senate runoff election. As we've noted, some Republicans are still hesitant about their party's nominee, Hershel Walker. Georgia's own outgoing Republican Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan told CNN earlier this week that he couldn't bring himself to vote for Walker. He didn't vote for Raphael Warnock either, he says. However, the state's newly reelected governor, Brian Kemp, has been out stumping strongly for Walker. My colleague Vaughn Hillyard spoke to Kemp yesterday, asking him why hesitant Republicans should reconsider and cast their ballot for Walker. His answer was revealing because he boiled it down to one thing: jersey color. Take a listen.
I'm fighting hard for Hershel because I think it's important that we have a Republican in that seat. I mean, you really have two choices in this election. You can vote for the incumbent that's voted for Joe Biden 96% of the time, that has put states like California and New York ahead of our own when it comes to American Rescue Plan dollars and treating our citizens unfairly compared to those in California and New York. And I want somebody to go up there and fight for our state. I believe that Hershel Walker will do that, and that's why I'm supporting him, and that's why I would ask other Georgians, no matter what camp they're in, to do the same.
Vaughn Hillyard, who sat down with the governor, joins me now. Boy, Vaughn, that was not the best endorsement of Hershel Walker I've heard before. It was not an endorsement of Hershel Walker. It was simply, as we introed, it was simply the case against putting a Democrat in the seat.
Right. I wouldn't necessarily say that he said good things about Hershel Walker. It was more about having a Republican partner up on Capitol Hill to work with. And this is sort of the bargain that we have seen played over the last several years among several types of Republican candidates. Brian Kemp, through the course of the general election, he did stay away from Hershel Walker. He really ran his own independent race, won by 8 percentage points against Democrat Stacey Abrams. And that's why when you look at a 38,000 vote difference coming out of the general election in this U.S. Senate seat, if you're Brian Kemp, you ask yourself the question, could you have an impact ultimately on who serves the state of Georgia for the next 6 years? And the calculation is that that answer is a hopeful yes for Brian Kemp, especially with Donald Trump not being the one to come into the state here in the final week. And as many Republicans would tell you, screw it up. I want to let you hear a little bit more of the interview as to why Brian Kemp decided to jump into this.
What has led you to go out on the stump for Hershel Walker despite these questions about his character?
Well, look, I think you can say there's questions about the characters of all the candidates that ran for U.S. Senate and the two that remain in the runoff. For somebody that's been in politics and has been personally destroyed and had their family members targeted, you know, I understand why a lot of people don't put much stock in things like that, especially 4 days before the election.
And when I asked him, I actually read him a direct part of the Daily Beast article that came out yesterday, in which a woman came forward on the record detailing a particular episode in which she alleges that she was physically attacked by Walker. And he said that, you know, there are questions about the character of both candidates that are in this runoff here. Again, not directly going on the defense necessarily of Hershel Walker, but making his choice, at least in this runoff, clear.
Hey, does he consider himself an anti-Trump Republican?
I think it's more of an individual that ignores Donald Trump and his existence. I asked him about whether he believes that he should take really the mantle at this moment in time as the Republican Party is looking to potentially go on a new trajectory. And he said he is focused particularly on this runoff here. But he said that he is an individual who has said from day one when he was sworn in 2019 that he would serve the people of Georgia, he would uphold the Constitution. And he said that he has done that every step of the way, and he intends to do that as governor as the second term. I asked him about 6 or 7 times, Chuck, whether he would be open to a 2024 run, and he declined to ever rule out that he would not mount his own 2024 run against Donald Trump. But that's where he's kind of this unique American figure, the only statewide Republican who stood up to Donald Trump over the last 4 years, and then turned around and beat a Trump-endorsed candidate in the primary, and then won in a competitive general election.
Well, and that's sort of what I'm can't figure out here, Vaughn, is he's accumulated some political capital, but he doesn't seem to want to use that capital to help Hershel Walker that much.
No, I mean, he did cut a TV ad. He did cut a TV ad, and he has been on the campaign trail once, which was more than a week ago now, to your point, he's not out there today. He's more likely to be at the SEC championship game with the Bulldogs tomorrow than he is on the campaign trail with Hershel Walker. But I think this is where the question is, does he use his political capital, or do we take him at his word that he cares about Georgians and pushing through with a Republican legislature more conservative policy items here in the state of Georgia over the next 4 years? He's not somebody who is really grabbing the opportunity by the horns to really be a national Republican leader.
He really could if he wanted to.
He's here in Georgia kind of doing his thing.
That's my point. The opportunity is there if he wanted it. Put it this way. If Chris Sununu were in the same position in New Hampshire,
right,
I think we'd see a different. That's all. It's fascinating to me. You going to be at that SEC title game? If you're covering Georgia Senate, I bet you all the candidates will be.
We're planning to be at least at the tailgate.
Be in the tailgate. I was just going to say, you may get an early warning sign of what Tuesday will be like. Vaughn Hillyard on the ground in Georgia for us with his interview with Governor Kemp. Vaughn, good work there, sir.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.